One of the things, Mick, that I've found really disturbing about this, and again, we don't know what the motives are yet. There hasn't been any release of a manifesto or report about, what he's been browsing online or anything like that. But what we do know is that we're in a climate right now in the United States where the National Guard has been repeatedly demonized. And I played a number of clips of very senior Democrats talking about, what the National Guard is doing in American cities. It seems like whatever motivated this, there is a broader issue here where the left is kind of playing with fire in terms of demonizing people who are serving the country and following the orders of Donald Trump.
There are, James, and of course, I think we get a chance to talk about the video that many of the lawmakers put out this week about, violating or not following illegal orders, which has really caused a great deal of concern here. But again, you would think that of all the people that would be immune to that type of brainwashing, that type of messaging, that type of incitement, would be the people who are either with or near, the armed forces to begin with. And that's what this guy was. I mean, he worked with our armed forces. So again, you're right. There's still a lot we're going to find out, but none of it's going to be good. It's going to have an absolutely chilling effect on legal immigration in this country because this guy did come here legally. There's no question about that. I believe there's some reporting out now. Again, it's very early on that it was the Trump administration that approved his continued time in the country. That could turn out to be somewhat accurate. I don't know yet. Again, we're speculating, but none of it's good, James. None of it's good at all.
And, you mentioned that video here, and I'm glad you mentioned it because I've talked about this at the start of the program. Let me just play again a little bit more of this video. And people are calling these people the seditious six. But let's go back and have just another little look again at some of what that video had to say.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
Now, again, this idea where you have prominent Democrats and prominent former intelligence officials, which I think is interesting here, again saying you can refuse illegal orders, not an order that's come down that they're referring specifically to, but that they seem to be trying to separate the chain of command here. What do you think should happen to these people? Because I know Trump wants the FBI investigating them. I know Mark Kelly could be in some trouble here. What do you think?
I think investigation is appropriate. I'll be clear. I thought the president's call to have these people hanged for treason right away, it was over the top. It doesn't help the debate. Okay. But these people, this is wrong. This is absolutely wrong. Keep in mind, let's start from the very basic premise. And I do a little bit of work with the cadets at the West Point Academy. They all know this. This is not news. Going on TV or the internet and saying, oh, by the way, you don't have to follow illegal orders. Every officer knows that. That is literally beaten into them during their training. So this was not educational in any way, shape, or form. This was to try and undermine the president. And I think it's noteworthy, James, that when a couple of the folks who have made this video have gone out to do press to follow up, they've been asked a fairly straightforward question, which is, okay, you say that these folks don't have to follow illegal orders. What illegal orders has Donald Trump given? And not a single one of them has a single example, because as far as we can tell, there haven't been any. So the only reason to do this would be to undermine the president of the United States as the commander in chief. I don't know what other explanation there is for this, because it can't be educational. And it certainly doesn't speak to a specific example. So again, it's an example of what's wrong in this country. Mark Kelly's in a different place than the other elected officials, because even though he is a member of the Senate, he's also a former member of the military and subject to be recalled under to reserve duty and so forth. So it would be followed under different rules. But I hope there's a full investigation. This is wrong, and it needs to stop.
I agree completely, and I worry that this is going to lead down some very sinister avenues if it is not checked right now. But Mick, I also just want to ask about some other things going on right now. And this story has, I think, floated by a lot of people here. But there's a by-election going to happen, a special election in Tennessee District 7 next month, in a district that President Trump comfortably won by 22 points last year. But now there's been some recent polling, and they are worried that they could lose this seat and see their House majority slip to, well, essentially nothing. And this comes off of the back of Marjorie Taylor Greene's resignation as well. Are there some concerns here around the backbench of the Republicans, particularly about, A, their majority, but B, also I've heard some worries about their treatment by the White House. What have you been hearing, Nick?
Yeah, a lot of that, James, is going to a couple different pieces of it. Keep in mind, every party that underperforms in a special election or a by-election always says, well, they're special elections for a reason. They don't follow the ordinary trends, et cetera, et cetera. But that's just what they say for the television cameras. The Republicans are worried to death about this. Even if they win this election in a squeaker, they win by 5 points or less, that will send shockwaves through the Republican Party, because that is a really, really bad sign. It comes on the heels of us Republicans underperforming 3 weeks ago in the off-year elections in New Jersey and Virginia. So yeah, there is dissatisfaction within the Republican ranks. They are worried about getting wiped out in the midterms, and they are, even to your point, talking about some of them leaving early to deny Mike Johnson the speakership and give it to the Democrats now. Under the theory, number one, it's inevitable at the midterms anyway, they think. And number two is a punishment for mistreatment by the leadership of the House and by the White House. That's a tough place to be. Listen, I've been a member of the House. I wasn't a member of the House during a Republican administration, but I know members of the Democrat Party who felt like they were taken for granted by the Obama leadership, and it's an unhappy place to be, especially when you think you're going into the minority. There's nothing worse than being in the minority in the United States House of Representatives. You basically don't count for anything when it comes to voting and so forth. So yeah, it's an unhappy time right now, James, with the Republican Party. There's still plenty of time to turn things around. And of course, a lot of President Trump's policies haven't sort of sunk in yet. A lot of things, one big beautiful bill, haven't kicked in. Deregulation hasn't kicked in. So there's still time. But I got to tell you that it's not a very happy Thanksgiving for a lot of Republicans right now.
Yeah, no, it doesn't sound like it. It sounds like a bit of a worry with what really effectively 9 or 10 months of actual real work until the midterms. Hey, you mentioned Thanksgiving, and Mick, before I let you get back to your table, polling every guest tonight, what's your favorite Thanksgiving side dish? And do you agree with me that cranberry sauce is better out of a can?
Yeah, James, I'm going to disagree with you because I don't like cranberry sauce. I never did. My dad ate it. And I don't like it one way or the other. Now, if you put a gun to my head, I would eat it out of a can as opposed to fresh. I'm with you on that one. But in my mind, all it does is pollute the mashed potatoes anyway. And why would you do that? There's no reason to ruin perfectly good mashed potatoes or turkey stuffing for that matter. So no, I'm a purist. I'm not a cranberry sauce guy. Give me the turkey, the mashed potatoes, the gravy, some stuffing, and that's all I really need. Nothing green. I don't need anything green on that plate at all.
No, nothing green there. I think we're both agreed on that one. Mick Mulvaney, thank you so much for your time, and have a great rest of your Thanksgiving.